Hey, I'm Dan, and this is not my shop. This is my buddy Mark's shop, and today we're here because he's working on the covering on the Rebel, and I wanted to show you a little bit of that, and also just kind of check up and see what else is going on with the covering job that he's done so far. Having fun?
Yeah.
Well, he's having fun. So, anyways, let's get to it. Hey, welcome back to the shop. It's really good to see you here again. Alright, so what we've got right here is Mark is working on the fuselage. Recognize that the top has got a coat on it already of this. This is called Ultra Coat.
That's the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, that's the bottom? Oh, that's right.
Wing goes.
Never mind. Okay, so that's the bottom. It's going to have an orange bottom on it. And that's Ultra Coat as the coating. That's one of Mark's favorites is Ultra Coat. Why do you like Ultra Coat more than like Monocoat or any of those?
I just find it easier to work with for me.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, what are we going to do next?
Well, I got this piece cut to fit on this side.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a tack rag and just dust. I already used compressed air on it.
Okay, so the tack rag is just basically getting any dust particles or anything that's on there. A tack rag, if you have never used one before, well, you should start sanding your airplanes, but tack rag is just like a rag that is got a kind of a goo or a stickiness to it that takes any dust particles off there. And let's see, it doesn't look like there's any dents or anything on this piece, so that's good. Don't mind Mark, he's a little bit nervous, so he's never on camera. Yeah. Usually he's flying.
I'm camera shy. So that should fit.
So you've already traced it onto the back. This Ultra Coat has a paper backing on it. He traced basically the pattern he needed so that he could make the exact size piece. Now it's trying to stick to itself, which they always do. The adhesive on it is heat activated, so it's not like a big sticker. It's not sticky coming right off of the paper. So he's able to just lay it out exactly the way it needs to be over this side here.
I think we're going to start down here.
Okay, so he's got an iron. Let's see here, I'll zoom in real close. He's got an iron down on the end there. That's what we're going to be sticking it down with. Looks like he's got a booty over the end of the iron, so it'll keep it from scratching up the coating at all. And what do you run that iron at, roughly, temperature-wise?
I've got it probably about 250.
About 250, okay.
Maybe a little more. It starts sticking, Ultra Coat starts sticking at 220. And then you can move up from there.
Okay.
So you basically go real slow and you try not to have the urge to push down heavy weight. Basically the weight of the iron is all you need. If you use too much pressure, if you've got soft balsa underneath, it can make lines in it and cause dents.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just moving up it slowly. I'll zoom in on there so you can see how you're working it. Just taking your time. Is there any kind of thing that you do to, like, well, I know that coatings over time tend to get bubbles underneath them. Is there anything that you found that kind of works to keep from getting bubbles over? Usually just leaving it sitting out in the sun, or after it sits in your garage for a long time, that can happen.
get out your iron and shrink it back down.
Yeah.
I also have a heat gun, like a heat dryer, which is nice on open bay stuff. It's just a real hot air gun.
Right.
And it'll actually shrink when it gets to certain degrees, it starts shrinking.
Right.
And where it's tightened down, like over an open bay, you'll have wrinkles in there. You hit the heat gun and it'll just tighten right up like a drum.
So right over there, you're over one of the servo cuts
holes
right there.
here.
Yeah,
I didn't have to do it because my iron will easily span it. But like on a big wing area, it's pretty hard to do it with an iron. I mean, you can do it. A lot of people do, but I find it usually easier to use a gun. Sometimes I end up using a gun on these solid surfaces too, if things don't quite go the way I want them to.
Yeah, you're going, for the most part, you're right on top of wood this entire, well, it's a fuselage side, so, but if it was a wing with open bays and you were just covering over sticks that were tightening it over like a drum.
And I can get out the tail feathers and show you because they're done.
Okay.
They're open structure.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'd kind of like to see some of the other parts that you've got done so far so we can show people where those are. And pretty soon this will be coming back to me for finishing up. We'll be putting the servos into it, the radio system and the engine and the fuel tank. Getting everything pretty much ready to go so that we could have another plane almost ready for a maiden. God, I'd like to get this thing in the air before the end of the year.
Kind of like to try to pull this tight so you don't get any wrinkles. If you get a big wrinkle in there and you get it sealed around each side of it, then you're basically kind of stuck. And that's when
big old bubble.
That's when you got to get the heat gun out.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get bubbles anyway. There's a little imperfection right there. And that could be a speck of dust. A speck of dust shows up big time.
It's the thing about covering. I had somebody send in a question to me the other day. They were talking about on the wing center section, you know, with that piece of fiberglass that's there, how do you cover over it? And I said, well, basically is you cover over it and it's gonna show because covering never hides anything.
Yeah.
Any little imperfection in the surface and it will show up.
I try to thin out some filler of some type and try to work it into the weave and then sand it with 400, and it does a pretty good job, but you still see it.
Yeah.
If you look for it.
It's kind of like they say those people who have, you know, like collector's cars and stuff like that, they say black is one of the worst colors because it shows every fingerprint, it shows every smudge, and every little scratch, everything. And I think covering's the same way. And so I gave you a bunch of black and orange covering, didn't I, Mark?
Yes, you did. I decided that I'm not going to cover any more black airplanes. It's not very forgiving.
Gave you a challenge. Mark's getting real close to the front end up here.
But we know why it's orange and black.
Yeah, it's. I have no idea what I'm going to put on this airplane. No idea yet.
That's a little bit of adhesive mark from the Scotch tape they had to keep the roll wound up. But that'll come off with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. I didn't notice it, or I would have taken it off first. I got going a little too fast there and it didn't get down all the way.
Good grief, you were right in the air traffic pattern here. Every now and then when I'm recording, you'll hear jets coming over the house. It sounds like we've had all kinds of jets and other air traffic passing by. I don't know if you can hear it over the microphone, but very active.
So once you get to the sides pretty well stuck down, then you come to the corners. Now I'm going to trim these. Probably have like a 1/4 inch or so. So I just kind of like to get the corners down. So, but I still leave it loose enough that I can get in there and trim it.
Right. It looks like you're kind of pulling it around the corner there to really help it flatten out.
But you don't want to go all the way over because then you can't get it up. It adheres pretty good. I mean, you can, but you'll be pulling little tiny fibers of balsa with it.
So when you go to cover a fuselage, you want to put the bottom on first, right?
Bottom.
And then the sides, because then they'll wrap down around and onto the bottom.
Will be underneath where you don't see it.
It'll look a lot better that way.
And then the top, you bring it over the side just a little bit.
Right.
But if it's the same color, the seams really disappear pretty nicely.
Yeah. You might see like a little bit of a line, but that's about it.
And if you have to put a seam, I didn't put a seam in this Rebel. My Rebel, I do have a seam on the side. If you do, you want to start at the back and have your seam wherever it's at, you overlap the front piece over it. Just for if it comes loose, then the wind won't get underneath it and lift it.
Right. And here's kind of a challenge because you're right at the wing saddle. So it looks like what you do is you smash it down as best you can all around the top of that wing saddle. And you're moving on to the next seam there. Kind of interested to see what you're going to do when you go to tack the top of the wing saddle.
Yeah, me too. See, I got a bowl there. See, it's just maybe a little more heat.
Just try to shrink it up a little bit.
Yeah, just you get these little wrinkles, but you can usually just push them down.
Yeah,
they'll stick. I probably started going too fast there. Alright, I guess we can try to start trimming this.
This is Mark's dog, Lucy. She hates me. Watch what happens when we get closer. Hi, Lucy. I don't think you can hear her. She's growling right now. She is a one-man dog. Right, Lucy? And I am not that man. Here's this is just kind of looking over all the parts that Mark has done. So here's the wing. The orange is it's kind of hard to see from here, but the orange is the leading edge. And then I get this little black. I told him to put this little pattern here. And so that's the wing. We get the there's the fin, and then there's the elevator and the two halves right here. And those are, yeah, that looks really good, Mark. This is gonna be awesome.
So all right.
Let's see here. What's the top going to be? I forgot what I asked for.
I think you decided to go all orange.
Oh, all
But
orange on the bottom.
I can do black. We have black.
Do we have enough left?
Yeah, I think so.
I just don't know what it would look like at this time. Start looking like a
Yeah, there's plenty of black to do the top if you want to do it. Might look okay.
Yeah, that'd be good. Put a black hood and then a black back on it, and then yeah, I think this is going to be awesome. Yep, very nice looking covering job going down here. With all this orange and black, I'm really struggling to try to figure out what can I put as far as stickers or decals, or it's just I haven't thought of anything yet. If you get any ideas, let me know. Just don't say any bad words. I could beep them out.
I tried to run my finger along the edge.
Yeah, my camera
keep it,
I can't see what you're
just to keep it as straight as I can.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to do.
Oh yeah.
And sometimes I don't go deep enough. And
see, that's why I wanted you to cover this thing.
narrow too deep.
I've got patience, but sometimes. So basically what you're doing is you're making your cut, and there's going to be a loose end after it's done, but you'll go back and stick it down, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, so I kind of
Taking a look in the roof of Mark's shop. This is where he stores all of his planes. He hangs them from the ceiling. And he's got a problem. And his problem is he doesn't crash enough. Way too many successful landings, and he loves to build. That can only... Well, it's... You don't crash enough, and... and you love to build. What do you think's going to happen? So, but it's really nice to look at your collection on some of these that you built from scratch. Some of them, there's a couple of them are ARFs, but for the most part, you put all these together either by scratch or by kit, I think. Yep. Hey, thanks for coming with me over to Mark's shop today and checking in. And I really want to thank Mark for inviting us into his shop while he's working on covering the plane here. He showed us a little bit of covering technique, and I hope you learned something from that. It's always, Mark is very shy around the camera, so I'm kind of pushing him a little bit by doing this type of stuff. But he's a great guy. I've been flying with Mark now for dang near 20 years. It's been a long time. We've been to meets together, and we've done a lot of projects together, and we've kind of push each other a little bit when it comes to working on planes and getting things done and stuff like that. And I think that what you'll find in this hobby is that you'll find some really great people. You'll make some really great friends and have some really great relationships as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's also quite a few weird people too, but you know what? I think every hobby's like that. But in this case, Mark and I, we just enjoy each other's company while we're doing this flying stuff, and it's a whole lot of fun. And well, that's about it for this time. We'll watch this take off. Woohoo! Into the sky. That's his decathlon, by the way. Anyways, have a great time, and thanks for joining us today. And come on, let's get building.